So I canceled my Spotify account today. Yeah. It's gone. 100 playlists gone. A 15-year relationship with a stupid platform gone. It's all gone. And I would lie if I'd said that I'm not feeling a little bit sad about it. Like a part of me is like crushed that I lost all of my playlists, like poof, they're gone. But underneath that veneer of sadness, there's a vast sensation of freedom. I feel bliss. I feel free. I feel like I'm finally free. Because to tell you the truth, I realized that I had been enslaved by the shackles of my own playlists. I had put so much work, so much effort, so much love into curating the stupid playlists that I couldn't fathom my life without them. And I couldn't fathom the idea of like trying to replicate those playlists in a new platform. Say I moved to another one. Imagine like recreating the playlist there. It gave me like a 5-hour-long headache just thinking about it. So what I did was, instead of like canceling the service when they started to become abusive, I just stayed like a battered wife, And it was terrible. It was like Spotify was like the evil boyfriend that nobody wants. When I first signed up for this platform, it was great. But over the years, they have been engaging in a very cruel bait and switch. And lately, it's like every morning I'm waking up to a new email from Spotify telling me that they made a little adjustment to the terms of service. And this is how they're going to screw me today in a new way. Do you have your lube? Because every morning when you wake up, Spotify is going to screw you just a little bit deeper. The new one was, you cannot share your account anymore with anyone. Like if you have a dog, please put some muzzles on your dog if you're planning on listening to our service out loud, because your dog is not paying for this and you're no longer allowed to share it with your collie. So it's terrible. And not only that, but the price hikes. I'm paying like twice as much as I did last year. And you'd think with like 3 or 4 consecutive price hikes, they would at least have the decency of like adding new features, giving you something extra, something that would justify in your mind, like, why am I being squeezed like this? It's because they just added this wonderful feature, even if you're never going to use it. It's like it soothes your brain from feeling like you're being screwed. But no, in fact, they haven't even fixed the stupid shuffle button. It has been broken for years. It has been broken for a decade. What kind of shuffle is that? Have you ever tried the shuffle button in Spotify? Let me tell you what it does. You have a playlist with 1,000 songs and you hit shuffle and it'll only surface the same 5 stupid songs over and over again. Over and over and over again, the same 5 to 7 songs. The rest of the songs never get played. And it's not even the 5 songs that you're hoping to hear. No. It's the 5 most popular songs in the platform that are within that playlist. So honestly, it's a baffling concept. When you hit shuffle, let me tell you, Spotify, what people want when they hit the shuffle button. At least what I want. What I want when I hit the shuffle button is I have the secret wish, like the secret hope, that by pressing the shuffle button, I am going to be surprised by some obscure song that I had forgotten about that was laying in the depths of this massive playlist that I have concocted over the past 10 years. And the shuffle function is going to resurface it. And I am going to be marveled at this beautiful song that I had completely forgotten about. Instead, you give me Lana Del Rey and Sabrina Carpenter and maybe Taylor Swift on repeat. Come on. They haven't even fixed that, and they're continually hiking the price. So I said, you know what, Spotify? Enough is enough. I am not going to stand here and continue to pay for your stupid service and continue to receive your absurd emails. I'm gone. And I feel great. I feel free and I feel like a new person, and I am just so happy. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I think it's not just a Spotify thing. I think it is a streaming platform thing. I think they're all pushing their luck with us. They're trying to squeeze us now. And I feel like we're going to see a massive exodus of people from the streaming platforms back to piracy. We're on the verge of a piracy renaissance. And I am here for it. Like, I am so excited about it because peer-to-peer sharing and torrents were the things that made the early internet so brave, so great. And I want to see what the new horizons are going to be now that we have new technology. Like, what new things await us now that we have AI and piracy? It's like a new frontier. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the death of the streaming platform and what we did in the past and what may come in the future. So I was doing numbers the other day, and I realized that I am paying an absurd amount of money for all my streaming platforms because I'm signed up to like 15 of them. I'm signed up for Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and Prime and HBO and all of these things, when in reality, I don't really watch that much TV. And when I do watch TV, I usually fish for things that are old and that I already know because I like comfort watching. So all the new stuff that arrives to these platforms is terrible. Like, I don't know, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the human version of the movie, which sucked. I tried watching it, and I do not recommend this exercise to anybody with a brain. And if I could have saved so much money if I would just buy the DVDs, you know? I could have just bought the stupid DVDs and I would be able to watch an unlimited amount of Star Wars, the first trilogy, and Back to the Future, and all the movies that I keep watching over and over again, you know, because I would own them in physical format, and nobody could take that away from me. Instead, what do we have? Instead, I was subscribed to Netflix. One of my favorite shows that I watch over and over to fall asleep is called Rilakkuma and Kaoru. And it's a stop motion show, Japanese TV show, that's just beautiful. It's just so exquisitely made and so beautiful and cute and smart. And I just love that show. And I played it over and over again to fall asleep. And one day, even though I have been paying Netflix religiously, the show was gone. It was gone from the catalog. I sat down with my remote. I was going to play Rilakkuma and Kaoru. I was ready to go to bed, and I'm looking for it, and it's nowhere to be found. It's not in the catalog anymore. Sorry, princess. We had a fallout with the studio or something, or we didn't buy the rights for this year. So, sorry, we're just taking this away from you. And I felt betrayed, you know? I felt betrayed in my heart of hearts that this had disappeared. And it's only gotten worse, you know? It's only gotten worse. I feel like they're getting rid of all the best shows and giving us just trash. For example, I wanted to watch Westworld. I wanted to watch the first season of Westworld, and it's not in the catalog. It's not. You cannot watch Westworld anymore. Why? Well, I don't know. There's many theories, some more cuckoo than others, but one of the theories of why it was gone is because it had so many A-list actors that the royalties that they had to pay the actors were so high that they decided it was just much better to just eliminate it from the catalog altogether. So now we cannot watch Westworld. It doesn't matter if you pay or if you don't pay, it's gone. And this is not a problem we had before, you know? I don't know if you are also a millennial or a Gen Xer or like a Xennial or something, or a boomer, you know. But I remember a time before the streaming platform. I remember when we actually had physical objects in our possession. Imagine that. Imagine buying music and actually owning the device forever. You don't have to rent it out from someone else. No, it's yours. You can do whatever you want with a CD. You can play it as many times as you want, forever. You can be 80 years old and you're still going to be playing the stupid Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill. That was the first CD that I bought, by the way. I was 10. And, you know, there's something comforting about that, about the fact that there is something tangible that you own, that you can see in front of you and nobody can take away. And we have lost that. Do you realize how much we have lost? I do. You know, I remember a time when, because, you know, here's the mind-boggling thing with like digital things. When things were physical, there was a risk to sharing things with others, and that made it much more real. You see, I remember giving out books to my friends. Ooh, I want to read that book. Would you lend it to me? Ooh, that was that never made anybody feel very comfortable, because people had a tendency to never return the books that they borrowed from you. So if you lent a book to somebody, it was because you truly, really, really wanted this person to read it. You know what I mean? You were risking the idea of the other person never returning the book to you because it was so important for you that this person read the book that you decided to like roll with it. You know, if you never return this to me, I'm okay with that. Here you go. Read it, my friend. This is how much I love you. And we had mixtapes. We gave each other music. We made these playlists that we are now feel like they're tying us to the stupid platform, and we curate these playlists in a way that is completely selfish now, because it's just for our own consumption. But back in the day, we wouldn't make playlists for ourselves. That was stupid. We made playlists to give out to our friends. We would, make a cassette and make some artwork for the cassette and maybe write a nice note and then give it to a friend or a lover or something to signify how much you love them. And we have lost all of that. We have lost all of it. Now we're just sitting in front of the computer and we're trying to impress ourselves with like how witty and like how masterful we are at curating our own music. Like, I'm a master of my own. Nobody cares about your playlist now. See? Nobody cares about your stupid playlist. We all have access to the same music now. You're not special. Nobody cares, It's just you in front of your own computer trying to be the coolest you can be. Ooh, oh my God, this playlist truly, truly, truly reflects the kind of person that I want to be. I think I hit the right vibe, It's cool and nonchalant in the right measure. Ooh. And you get goosebumps, on your own, sitting alone in front of your desk, Listen to the stupid playlist that you just made. You get goosebumps because you imagine like what other people would think of you if they heard you play your stupid playlist. And there's nobody there. It's just you, your dog with muffles now because, terms of service. And you're like playing this stupid music and concocting like imaginary scenarios in your head. And it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen, dear. Nobody will see your playlist. Nobody's going to know. It's just you and your stupid playlist. So yeah, that's definitely a step back, like step in the wrong direction. So I decided that I am going to buy a DVD player and I am going to start buying the movies that I like in DVD format. And I'm going to do the same with music. And the only thing that I am considering right now is whether I should do this in vinyl or if I should do it on CD. I'm not sure. I am too young for vinyl. I don't have a recollection of I remember vinyls in my house. Like I remember my parents playing vinyl, but I never actually did it because I was too young and they were afraid that I would scratch the disc. So I was never allowed. And my memories with music start with CDs. So I don't know if I should stick to my nostalgia theme and go for CDs or if vinyl is actually more, I am worried about longevity. But yeah, I want to go back to tangible things. Now, I want to talk about the way we used to do things too, because I feel like if you're younger than me, if you're a Zoomer or something, this will sound alien, but I think it's really important to know where we come from so that we can know where to move forward to. And if you're a millennial or older and you know perfectly well what I'm talking about, then this is gonna this is gonna jog something in your memory, and you're going to remember and like all the things like what are we doing with these stupid platforms. So like when I was a kid, TV was very different. Like we didn't have many channels, and there was the programming wasn't on all day. Like there was a point at night where the programming would stop until the next day. And, it was cool because everybody saw the same like 5 channels. So there was like a common ground for people to talk about what happened last night in TV. Everybody knew because there was just like 5 options. And then cable got to town, and everybody got cable installed, and suddenly you had 200 channels. And suddenly you had to adapt to this too. Like you had to learn how to zap, efficiently. and it was great because it had so many channels that were just dedicated to one thing. Like you had channels for like kids with kid programming 24/7, and you had cooking channels, and you had like soap opera channels, and etc. Right? It was wonderful. But the one thing is, it was super, super expensive. At least that's what I remember, like from my parents complaining. It was super, super expensive. The companies, so you had 300 channels on your TV, and each channel, had its own programming, but you didn't really have access to all of them off the bat unless you bought like the biggest package. And the biggest package was very expensive because normally you had like a small package, a medium package, and a large package, and then you had add-ons that you could put on. Like HBO had like a bunch of channels that were extra, and then you had like the boxing channel, and then you had like the movie channels were always extra too, And then you had pay-per-view, where you could like rent a movie, like watch it once and like pay for watching that movie. But, the movies, it was one movie on rotation like for 3 days, and then they would change it up. So it wasn't like streaming at all. But I remember that it was quite expensive. It was so expensive that in the backwards country that I lived in, my father and the neighbor discovered that there was this little like white box in the hallway of my building, and if they could like hack into it, they could hook us up with cable without having to pay a single dime for it. And every night, but during the day they had to unplug it, because the technician of the cable company could come and check the box, and if they found that we were stealing cable, we could get into trouble. So what they did was every day at sundown, they would go to this stupid box and like fight against the box. They didn't have the key, so they had to like manually force it open, and they would force it open and hook us, and then my neighbor would go to his house with his family to knock himself out with like all the TV shows, and I would do the same with my dad, and we were all very happy with this trick. We had, do you have cable? Yes, but only at night, I have a very special system, and we can only get hooked up at night. So anyway, that's how we did it, because it was so expensive, it was prohibitive. So, and then we had the options of renting movies, you wanted to watch something special. There was Blockbuster, and you could go to Blockbuster and like pick something up. And in the US, they had Netflix, which was not what it is today. If you're a kid, you don't know this, but Netflix was not what it is today. Netflix started out sending DVDs by mail, basically, like snail mail. Like you subscribed to this service, they had a catalog of films, you would check which films you wanted to watch, and then you would subscribe to a number of films at the same time. Like you could rent out like 3 or 4 or 5, or I don't know. So you checked the ones you wanted, and they would send you the DVDs, and you could keep them as long as you wanted and then return them and get new ones. That's how the list worked. You had a list, and they were sending you the DVDs in order from the list that you created. That's how Netflix started. And now it's a streaming platform. So at first, when Netflix came out with a streaming platform concept, it was great because they had so many movies, so many TV shows, and it was very cheap. It was like, and you could choose what to watch and when to start and when to finish, and it was great. Like everybody ran and signed up for Netflix, It was a no-brainer. It was better than anything else. It killed everything else. But then, we started seeing other people open up their own platforms. And now there's like so many of them. There's like a bunch of them. And you have to sign up to all of them. And it's looking more and more like those cable TV packages. Because now you have to pay $9 for Netflix and $12 for HBO and $15 for Prime. And you rented 3 movies in Prime, so now you have to pay like $9 more this month. And then Hulu, and then this one, and that. And when you add it up, it's a bunch of money. It's like we're back to cable TV. And you know what people did with cable TV when they didn't have the option of hacking into the stupid white box like my dad and my neighbor did? You know what they did? People would download things through torrents and share them through Napster and like Emule and all of those services. So if you couldn't get access to cable, you would then pirate the movies and the TV shows that you wanted to watch. And if you lived in a backward country like mine, you also had the option of like buying it from a shady person with like pirated copies of of your favorite movies, like walking around on the highway. Yeah. So those were your options. But you know what? I kind of miss it. That's what I realized today. I kind of miss it. I kind of miss it for several reasons. One of them being that with piracy, like with torrents and with peer-to-peer programs like Napster and Emule and SoulSeek, you had to get involved, And if you think about it, it's the same thing that happened to me with Spotify. Is that the reason I didn't want to quit Spotify was because I had put so much work into it. I was an active participant in the experience by curating my own playlists. So when you download things from the internet, you have to know what you want. You're not just served slop, an endless string of slop that is being fed to you without you having to move a finger, which is like TikTok and YouTube do, and all of these things that just play things for you without you having to actually choose or decide anything. You're a dormant participant in the process. And to me, that's terrible. To me, this turns you into an automaton. The experience of life becomes that much dull when you go through it asleep. And having to search for things wakes you up. It makes you an active participant. And I think we need a little bit of that. I think it would jog our brain to have to switch from passive consumer of slop in media to actually becoming an active seeker. You have to seek what you want. And I think that's great. That's why I feel like I'm excited about this. I'm excited about everyone rediscovering piracy. Not because of the piracy itself, but you know what I mean. So yeah, what do you think about it? I don't know. I don't know if I'm the only one. I don't know if you guys are happy to pay for all of these services, and because it's all of them. Like, it's all of them raising prices, squeezing everything out of you, like limiting their catalog more and more and more, offering you less for more. And now some of them are even adding ads. I heard some services are adding ads. Even if you pay, you still have to swallow a bunch of ads. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's insane. So anyway, I'm out of that scene. Now I am going to buy my DVD player, my DVDs, and I don't know. Tell me if you think CDs are better, like vinyl. I don't know. I'm still making up my mind, and I don't know which one I'm going to pick. So anyway, I'll see you guys soon.